Do we want to start with hockey, or do you want me to start with my stupid question? We'll start with hockey, because we've had some text messages. We had a guy that messaged in yesterday, if that's okay.
Yep.
Jeff down in Val-Marie, Saskatchewan. He said, want to know about the interview Bruce Cassidy had. I didn't know he had an interview about getting a new coaching job. I think he's just asking about the new coaching job. You and I have talked this before. Jeff believes that people should be able to choose their position, not their former bill payer. I said this yesterday, it's different in the National Hockey League than you and I, than a lot of us, because Vegas, and you've mentioned this before, Vegas has every right to do this right now.
Yeah, they have the legal right. And the interview he's talking about is him on Spit and Chicklets, where Cassidy went on and said, two teams have asked to speak to me, and it's pretty upsetting that they can't speak to me because I'm a coach and I want to coach. And I get his frustration, but he signed a deal that is going to pay him $4.5 million next year, and if that means he can't coach, then too bad. That's the deal he agreed to. That's not going to happen, though. He's going to end up in Edmonton. There's no question about it. This is all going to work out. What I wouldn't be surprised is, and I don't know if we've ever seen this, is if compensation is there. Edmonton, you want to talk to him? No problem. No problem. You give us a 4th-round draft pick. And I bet you they'll lose their mind. And the league will have to step in and get in there. But if I was Vegas, I would do that. It's an asset. Even though you fired him, it's still considered an asset. Somebody who's trying to beat you off your pedestal wants your asset. Why should you give it up for free? I'm with Vegas on this one. I'm in the minority, but I'm okay with it.
I kind of am too, just because I really like Kelly McCrimmon is the reason I am. And Vegas could use some draft picks after losing it because Tortorella wouldn't talk to the media. That was a 2nd-rounder, though. And then how does it work, Eric? I don't know if you and I talked about this, or I heard you on the Calgary show maybe talking about this, that yes, he still owed $4 million from Vegas. If he goes and coaches somewhere else, Vegas is off the hook. But if there's like a compensation money-wise somewhere along the line, or when this happens with coaches, isn't there?
Yeah, like it's basically, that's what a lot of people think. Like, it's so crazy that the owner of the Golden Knights, Bill Foley, like, why wouldn't you want to get off the hook from $4 million? Like, give it to somebody else and then let them pay him. So that's what happens. Look, Cassidy's in demand by a lot of teams, and there's no question about it. He'll get at least $4.5 million. He'll probably get a flipping salary bump out of all this. So the first $4.5 or $4 million or whatever the number is that he's agreed to with Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights pay that. But they would have paid that. Now Edmonton would come along and pay it for them.
Unless, could Vegas sign him for like $1, and then Vegas would have to pay?
The league got involved in that years ago because that was something that you'd think people would do and go. Because also, if you're Cassidy, you're like, yeah, stick it to Vegas, sign me for $1, and let them pay the rest. But there's a way that's all done. That's the league gets involved in.
I'll save this here. Colorado coaching rumors are starting to, I guess, amp up, and maybe Bednar, good Sasky boy, could be out, and then University of Denver coach. Easy, maybe transition there finally into the NHL game. You don't even have to move.
There's a lot of talk of Carl moving at some point, and maybe a lot of teams are interested in him. I think Toronto's a team that's kind of got some interest in him. Like, all these teams have got interest in him, but I love it when there's one of these guys who's in coaching in the college ranks and goes, yeah, you know what? Pretty happy here right now. Like, you see that in college football a lot. They're like, dude, I'm getting paid more than you could probably afford me in the NFL. And they've got guarantees, and the alumni.
They don't practice as much.
They don't practice as much. It's just the sweetest gig. So, but it's from what I've been understanding, it's a family issue. With Carl, he's got his family's very happy in Denver where they are. You're right; they could just move across the street and go coach for the Avalanche. But first they got to figure out what they're going to do with Bednar. And I do think next week you're going to see a press conference with Joe Sakic and Chris McFarland, the GM, answering a whole lot of questions. How badly hurt was McKinnon? How badly hurt was Makar? Because the rumor out there is that it's so bad that he might miss time next year after having surgery this summer. Although when I asked Makar after the game, he said, no, I'm not that guy. I'm not, I played, I was 100%. I thought it was so classy. But anyway, they got to decide on Bednar. Even Chris McFarland, apparently Nashville wants him to run their program. Maybe he'll go there. There are a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of guys who are getting up there at age that make up the core of this team. I think it'd be a shame for them to try and alter their course in any way.
Yeah.
But they are going to look at the coach, and he's been there, 9-10 years. They've had a lot of success under him, but they can't. And they did win one, so that's got to count for something. Put it this way, if Bednar does get let go, he'd be snapped up in no time by any number of teams. He'd sign wherever he wants.
Absolutely. Montreal Canadiens cooked. Can they pull it out tonight? How do they get more shots on net? I saw your piece that you wrote this week with maybe getting Gallagher back in the lineup. What do you think about the game tonight?
Yeah, I can't see. I mean, look, crazier things have happened, and I certainly never thought Vegas would sweep Colorado. So anything is possible, especially, it was only a couple games ago we saw Montreal dominate Carolina, but we all understand that was just because of some rust. And once they got their feet under them, they have absolutely dominated. And someone said today, it's almost like there's 7 players out there at any given time for Carolina. They're just smothering Montreal. Any shooting opportunity Montreal gets, and it's to the point now where the Montreal fans, who are pretty diehard, they're yelling shoot like crazy, which every fan base does. But when they do get the odd shot on goal, they're giving them the old Bronx cheer. That's how rare shots are, and it's terrible. But hell of a job by Carolina. Look, I'm fascinated to see how Carolina matches up against Vegas. I mean, neither team seems to let a lot of shots through. That means that it could be some pretty boring hockey. I don't know. Vegas still plays an exciting brand to me. I just don't see Montreal doing it. Do you? I can't. The shot difference is so ridiculous. It's almost embarrassing.
I really wanted to. I thought, I was talking to my cousin who's a diehard Montreal fan, and game 4, they looked so bad that I was like, and he's like, they've been bad all series, and I'm like, yeah, but this is really bad. No, I don't know. I would love it just for pool purposes and to be able to watch more hockey, to somehow drag them back to Montreal. But yeah, Carolina, after, like you said, after the rust maybe of game 1, they've come a long way and look really good. You know what I mentioned? I was going to mention this. You were at the game covering it, so you wouldn't have saw it. I was watching TNT, and they had a feature on Mitch Marner. And it was him and his wife walking with their newborn in Las Vegas earlier in the year. And they just, TV, they repurposed it for this. And they interviewed him. And paraphrasing, this isn't verbatim, but he just talked about how, getting a new start in Vegas. And he goes, yeah, and it did mean a lot, the nicer weather. And having, the nicer, no snow and that for the family. And I'm like, you and I talk about that all the time. It is tough to compete. I don't care how diehard you are as a, rah. It's hard to compete, Eric. And then you have players like that saying that, walking with his wife and daughter in a November day, probably 25 degrees. Tough to compete. I know state tax.
Look, all things being equal, that's where I'm retiring into Vegas. So, it's just amazing how much of an advantage it's become over the last 5-10 years since Tampa Bay and Florida and Dallas. I mean, all these warm spots are all juggernauts now because everybody's figuring it out, saying lifestyle wise, my wife really wants me to go here. I really want to go there. I can wear flip flops. And when you hear Tkachuk say stuff like that, Matthew Tkachuk say, I still haven't worn shoes yet. And then you see Mitch Marner go from, getting torched every day in the media and by the fans to going to a place where I guarantee nobody recognizes Mitch Marner on the street. Like hockey's big in Vegas. I was talking about this with a friend today. Like it's massive. Like that people in that city embrace that city like no other. But they still enjoy anonymity while they're on the street. It's not like a Canadian market where people grow up recognizing all their faces. So
yeah,
Marner's turnaround is absolutely. You would have told a Leaf fan a year ago that this guy would be playing for the Stanley Cup Final and is the Conn Smythe Trophy favorite. Like that flips the script on a narrative that goes back 10 years where he disappears every playoff, and it's pretty incredible. And when they won the other night, he couldn't help himself, and he mentioned the fact that I've had some dark days, in hockey. And everybody knows what he's referring to, and everyone in Toronto loses their mind, and they rip him again. And it's all the more reminder to Mitch Marner that thank God I got out of there, because even when I say something halfway across the country, in another country, everyone in Toronto loses their mind on me even now. So he couldn't have won in Toronto. Good for him. He's going to win in Vegas.
What do we got? About 3 minutes left here. I want to get to this. I think I heard like Dallas free agents. I'm very curious in the next 6 months, and not to get stat nerd on and go on a lot of places. I'm curious on 3 teams: Dallas, Florida, and Tampa Bay. And if they start structuring things to maybe like, why aren't they spending, or why aren't they doing this? Some part of me, if I could sprinkle on this, I would. I think one of those 3 teams is going to make a hard push for Connor McDavid in the next 12 to 18 months.
I get the feeling every team in the league is going to make a hard push for Connor McDavid in the next 6 months. Like, put it this way, if things don't start well for the Oilers...
Don't waste your time. Vancouver, don't waste your time.
Okay. Calgary, don't waste your time. There are a handful of teams for sure. Don't waste your time. But look, who wouldn't want a franchise-altering player who's the biggest name in the game right now? So,
Rangers.
Yeah, those would be front runners where you'd consider going. If I'm him, I'm going to one of those places. I'd also consider going to New York. But the problem is the timing's not right. New York's going to have to rebuild here for quite a while. But I just think the appeal of being the best player in the league and playing in Madison Square Garden is delicious.
Curtis says Las Vegas. Vegas is always on the table. You never know with Vegas. Hey, Lauren.
Oh, yeah.
We got you a nice restaurant in Caesar's Palace. Move. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to just have some fun with you here because we're talking about this with our Rider play-by-play team and all this over the last little while. I think there are 2 jobs that I've always thought are just amazing, how people do this. And I know, landing a plane and being a firefighter, all that stuff I can't do. A nurse, never. One is people who train guide dogs. I'm like, how do you start? How do you do that? And second is a police sketch artist. How they make it look so close to what sometimes it's a kid, sometimes it's a bystander, be able to make remember Unsolved Mysteries? We used to watch that. I was a kid. You'd be scared. You'd be like, "Oh, this is the guy. This is the guy." I already
felt. Sorry.
No. But what comes to mind with you, like a job that you think would be so difficult to do? Not like I said, not nurse, not astronaut.
And what was the example you gave? Sorry, I just got interrupted there.
The sketch artist, police sketch artist.
Oh my God!
Or guide dog. People that train guide dogs.
Oh my God, those are tough. Yeah, for sure. Like the sketch artists. Like, it's amazing how accurate they are based on someone's... I'm almost more as impressed with the person who's describing the person and how they go about that. I remember years ago in high school, we did a trip to a police department, and they showed us how they did that. They have slides, and they put, these. How about these eyes? Do they look like these eyes? Do they look like those eyes? And anyway, yeah, I'm look... People who paint, like I'm not talking about painting a house. I did that for summer jobs. I'm talking about taking someone and
A mural.
someone posing, and then you drawing a picture of the Queen, and it looks like the Queen. I don't even know that part of the brain, right? I mean, you ever tried to draw, like, if I said draw a picture of me, like it would be like, it looked like a snowman. Like you just draw a circle and circle for eyes and a corncob nose, and that's it. Yeah, I'm impressed by that.
I took art class in high school. If I had to draw a picture of you with sunglasses, it would look like this.
Oh my God!
Do you know who that is?
Who is that?
That's
pretty good.
That's famous. Is
that a famous serial killer?
That's DB Cooper. That's that guy that jumped out of the plane over top of Washington in like the 70s with all that money. So we were using this earlier, and I was like, somehow I got to incorporate this into Francis. He'll love it.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about jobs I wouldn't do. I wouldn't be jumping out of a plane with people as an instructor or as someone just jumping, period. So
yeah,
DB Cooper checks a lot of boxes.
I play the odds. I had a chance to go skydiving for a buddy's stag once. I'm like, nope, I'm okay. 100% chance I live till tomorrow if I do this. If I go up there with you guys, there's a chance I'm not here tomorrow. So, okay, what do you got? We got golf this weekend? Lots of golf this weekend?
I got a tee time in half an hour here, and trying to make up. I'm only home for 3-4 days here. It looks like I'm leaving Sunday for the finals. So, and then the big debate. I'm an hour away from Pinehurst in Raleigh, and then Vegas has some pretty nice courses, as you know. You and I've discussed. We were supposed to play together. Do I bring the sticks? I don't know. I got a lot of work to do. I know people don't think it's. Yeah, I think I gotta.
Even if you don't get on number 2, just get to Pinehurst. They say it's unreal.
Well, that's the thing. I looked it up, and Pinehurst is now like Pebble Beach. You have to stay 2 nights in their hotel, and it's $800, and there's probably a 2-year wait list. So, I don't know. I'll let you know on the sly. I don't want to say it publicly if I brought my clubs, so there'll be a clue. There'll be a hint when we talk on Wednesday.
Have a good weekend, buddy.
Okay, you too. Cheers.
There.